Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central.
It's the In Wheel Time car talk show today, coming to you from Tubby's Drive-In. Just ahead, a look at the brand new EVs coming your way in 2024. Conrad has This Week in Auto History, and we'll get you caught up on the stories making automotive news this week. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars, who's in charge of everything. King Conrad DeLong, who wants to be in charge of everything. We need more Jeff Zekin,
who shouldn't be in charge of anything.
Who's not in charge of anything. And I certainly can join the Jeff Zekin fan club because I'm not and don't want to be in charge of anything either. I'm Don Armstrong. Last time I
and
looked,
nobody else wants to be.
And nobody else wants to be. That's for darn sure. Good morning to you.
For Don sure.
That's for Don sure. Thank you. So I ran across this. Automotive News put this thing together, and I thought it was pretty interesting. And it's kind of lengthy, but I thought that we would just do it just for the heck of it. And the title of the story is More Than 50 EVs to join the next wave through 2024. Now, part of the reason also is to give me an opportunity to talk to Mr. Mars about a comment that he made about something that I charged him to do.
Moi?
You. And that was to perhaps maybe think about putting an EV segment together on a weekly basis of the show.
Yes.
And right off the get-go, we discovered that there weren't too many people that were willing to lend their thoughts to the segment without an excessive amount of pay. Really? I'm not getting paid anything. You getting paid anything? Are we getting paid anything here?
It seems like
we're not paying guests.
Our tax dollars go to paying a lot for EVs with all the funding they get from the federal government.
I got a story on that too.
And that's the other thing we ran into. It's very hard to have this discussion without somebody bringing politics into it from one side or the other.
And that's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Mm-hmm.
Because
George offered MasterCard or Visa.
Thank you, George.
Thanks, George.
One of the things that was kind of disappointing in our conversation, the politics that is involved in getting the word out in a non-biased way about EVs. Because everybody's got their own opinion, and their opinion out trumps all of the others.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right, and you're wrong.
What is that? Well, here we have a regular discussion about EVs.
And without having it forced on us, which
correct.
Is what's ultimately happening.
And, everybody says, everything's going to go EV. No, it's not. It is not. And I've said it from the very beginning. It is just going to be another fold of the automobile business, just like car dealers taking on trucks back in the 20s. Because remember, you used to have
the way they took on trucks in the 80s, and now they've overpowered the cars.
Right.
And now, it's like Texas is almost 70% of the vehicles they sell in Texas are trucks.
Well, I watch a show called Car Issues. It's a funny show. I like it. The guy goes out and tries to buy a car, and he buys it and, pays a used car, pays cash for it, that sort of thing. And he went and bought a 1980 Mercury station wagon.
Nice.
And ultimately put it in a destruction derby where it needed to be because it was nothing but a rust bucket. But those cars were the forerunner of
SUVs.
the minivan craze, which folded into SUVs. But not everybody has an SUV. Not everybody has a minivan. Not everybody has a car. It's a whole mix-up of things that are on the road these days. And that's the way I think that electrics are going to be, at least in my lifetime.
It'll be a piece of it, but it can't be the only piece.
Correct. So to that end, and to what Mars was talking about, it's odd to me that all of the people that tout their EVs would all get together and kind of be on the same page. No, they're not. My EV's better than yours. This company's spending more money on EVs. And the odd thing about it to me is the most successful of all of the EVs and EV companies is Tesla,
Is Elon.
who didn't even exist 10 years ago. You couldn't go buy a Tesla. Didn't even exist. Might have been in somebody's mind, Elon's mind, but that's it. So now all of a sudden, the
And
president
to go from
of,
that to building 400,000 units a year is pretty remarkable.
well, and now the president is touting the fact that, EVs the future. Well, okay, they're a segment of the future.
Well, they are, and that's one of the problems we ran into when we started doing the research, trying to figure out, where do we get information from that doesn't include that? And there's one letter that I get that I subscribe to, and it's all about EVs. Oh, that's the future, and it's all green and everything cool. But it very quickly, when you get their weekly post, very quickly the government must do this. The government must force people. People have to. You've got to go this way. You've got to do green. You've got to. It's for your own good, and that's where you get into the politics of it that divides everybody on it.
The weeds.
It's not. Yeah. It should be just like you want a Buick, you want a Ford, you want an Oldsmobile, you want a Pontiac, or you want a Tesla, you want
a 4-cylinder, you want an 8-cylinder.
Exactly. It should be that way, but it's not. They've driven it into the ground to the point.
They believe they have to force the issue.
That's right, because they're right and
nobody else
and everybody else is wrong because they know better, and that's what makes it so difficult. I personally see a place for EVs. I mean, I look at my wife and her driving pattern and what she does. She could easily drive a full-blown EV.
Yes.
I'm not that comfortable with it because every once in a while she wants to go to Houston or she wants to go there, someplace that, to me, a hybrid makes much more sense.
Right. Today it does, yes.
Yes.
So let me get into this story, and this is from Automotive News. Back in 2017, the Chevrolet Bolt was newly available nationwide. Tesla CEO Elon Musk was promising a $35,000 electric vehicle called the Model 3. 6 years later, the first-generation Bolt is on its way out, and the Model 3 is one of the top-selling cars in the U.S., though Tesla never managed to hit that $35,000 price target. As for the auto industry's product pipeline, it would be easier to list all the non-EVs now on the way instead. So let's start with alphabetical order, okay? We're not going to play the politics, just alphabetical order. Acura ZDX. Acura's debut electric crossover will go on sale in early 2024. Audi A6 e-tron. Mid-sized electric sedan will debut in 2025 and carry the A6 family nameplate on the PPE platform, whatever that is. The Q6 e-tron mid-sized electric crossover will debut Volkswagen Group's next-generation PPE platform, which Audi shares with Porsche in the second half of 2024. BMW i5. They're going to roll out several variants of its newest electric nameplate, including rear and all-wheel drive variants. BMW i7. This fall, BMW is expanding its electric 7 Series lineup with a single-motor rear-wheel drive variant. The i7 eDrive 50 rear axle-mounted motor delivers 449 horsepower. A more powerful 650 horsepower dual-motor i7 M70X drive arrives later this year. Here's one. Bright Drop Zevo.
What?
Never heard of them.
Me either.
I've got all their albums.
The Zevo 400 from GM's electric delivery van unit.
Hat they wore.
Did you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
GM's electric delivery van unit offers more than 400 cubic feet of cargo space for shorter and more frequent deliveries, kind of like the Transit Connect, such as groceries. Production is expected to begin in the fourth quarter of this year. The Bright Drop. Never heard of it.
Well, and that's another one of the things I don't see a good place for that in Texas. I relate everything to Texas.
Well, I do. I see it in urban areas like this. Out here in Sugar Land, delivery vehicle.
DoorDash.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought immediately. The Buick electric crossover. They're going to bring to market their first, but the brand confirmed that the 5-seat Electra E5 crossover for China late last year, while leaving room for the possibility that the E5 could come stateside.
Well, that's a good renewal of the name Electra.
I agree. And that's why I read the story.
And, and a 225 that you got to power
Deuce
with
and a quarter.
Got to power with a 220
or
volt system, yeah.
or have a 225 mile range.
And what a great platform to do a conversion on. Find yourself a nice, clean, obviously older Buick Electra 225, electrify it.
Yeah.
Boom.
There's a guy in town,
and
he's got a black drop top, and
Yep.
he gets it out every once in a while, and it's so cool looking.
And tub it out.
Always. Cadillac Escalade IQ.
Oh, yeah.
2025 Escalade IQ offers a slate of advanced technology, luxury comfort, sleek design cues that carve out a distinct identity while also respecting the equity that the SUV has built for consumers for 25 years. It comes with an eye-popping base price around $130,000 with shipping more than every configuration of today's Escalade except the V-Series performance version.
I'd rather have a V-Series.
And a GM estimated 450-mile range. Production is set to begin summer of next year at GM's Factory Zero electric vehicle assembly in Detroit.
I wonder if that's an evolution of the Ioniq, which Cadillac's already announced and has released, but they can't build any.
Isn't this weekend, the Cadillac Test Drive for Electrics?
Right.
For the invitation, you got to sign up.
Cadillac Celestique, or Celestic, whatever you want to call it.
Celestique.
Celestique.
Yeah, well,
Pinky
It's
out.
their handmade.
a sleek, futuristic-looking
$300,000.
5-door electric sedan will begin production in December and will go on sale early next year, as long as the strike doesn't hamper that.
And all of these manufacturer suggested, 400, 500-mile range is all a bunch of horse hockey, too. They never get there.
Correct. The Chevrolet Blazer EV is coming, along with the Chevy Bolt EUV.
See, they
EV.
should have called the Bolt the Blazer because they recalled them for fires about 3 different times.
He's not bitter towards
No, not
GM
at
at all. At all. Chevy Silverado EV. And, of course, they're all going after the Ford
Lightning.
And really, fully
And-
loaded
and
retail trim level. The $106,895 RST First Edition, scheduled to arrive this fall, with the GM estimated 400-mile range. The Cruise Origin,
Okay.
slated to start imminently at Factory Zero in Detroit. Dodge Challenger EV, Dodge Charger EV. See, I thought that they were going to go away with the names and the cars altogether. Apparently not.
The styling of that car should be a gasoline car. That thing is gorgeous.
And Charger's a good name for it.
Thank you. Fiat 500e. I know that you're going to be the first to belly up.
No
for that
politics. Don't get politics in
Yeah.
this.
First quarter of 2024. Mustang Mach-E. Of course,
Fix it
it's
again,
out already.
Tony.
GMC Sierra EV. Honda Prologue. Hyundai Ioniq 5.
Mhm.
The Hyundai Kona Electric. Is that what you had, Mars?
I had the hybrid plug-in electric. Yeah.
Okay, hybrid, plug-in electric. Jeep Recon. Electric Recon is an eco-friendly off-roader inspired by the Wrangler that will have removable doors and glass to offer open-air experiences. Production begins next year. I did not know that they were going to make a vehicle
Full
in
EV.
competition with the Wrangler. But it's the Jeep Recon. Jeep Wagoneer S. The SEV is an upscale midsize entry with a design language that separates it from the larger 3-row counterparts. Jeep is targeting a range of 400 miles and aims to have 600 horsepower. Okay. Kia EV5. Compact crossover concept. Originally, it's expected to launch in the U.S. late next year as a 2025 model. Kia EV9. Kia unveiled its boxy Telluride size EV9 electric crossover in April at the New York Auto Show, promising premium accommodations, a target all-electric range of 300 miles, and ultra-fast charging. Land Rover, Range Rover, that's coming out in an electric version.
I tickled him.
Well, Land Rover, Range Rover, and the quality of a Jaguar stand pretty close together, so we'll see how long that lasts.
Uh-huh. I see fires on the freeway all over the
I
town.
predict thermal events.
Yeah, me too.
Mutual of Omaha stuck out in the woods somewhere, and you can't get a charger.
On fire. Can't even get a fire extinguisher. Lucid Air. Lucid is adding a Sapphire ultra-performance luxury version of its four-door sedan this year. 3-motor, 1,234 horsepower Air Sapphire will come fully loaded at $250,000 with shipping.
Stunning looking car.
But $250,000?
And what's the name of this?
Lucid.
Lucid. Okay.
Lucid Air Sapphire.
You know,
Company is estimating acceleration of 0 to 60 in 1.89 seconds, beating Tesla's Model S Plaid.
All I'm going to say
Lucid,
is
the way you feel after 4 margaritas and a doobie.
And a dude.
all I'm going to say is for $250,000, that car better do things that you can't talk about in mixed company. That's all I'm saying.
Wow.
Listen to Mars go.
No.
Vibrating seat.
No politics, Mike.
Maserati Gran Turismo. Electric option will top 1,200 horsepower. Okay. Mercedes-Benz E-Sprinter.
That's what we need.
A battery-powered U.S.-made version of the Sprinter van arrives in the fourth quarter of this year. E-Sprinter will be available in Europe with 3 battery options and can be configured as a delivery van, flatbed truck, or ambulance.
Didn't they stop production on the Sprinter like a year ago?
No, it's
Mercedes?
still there. It's still there.
Yeah, they paused production because they had some sort of
They stopped production of the Dodge because
they had
Dodge
a low boy and a tall
and
truck.
then Freightliner makes a version of it as well.
Mini Cooper EV. The Cooper SE ends production next year in Oxford, England. Many will replace it globally with a subcompact hatchback EV built in China on a new platform smaller than the current hardtop. Polestar 3.
And Polestars, they're actually
That's Volvo.
they've been around a while. They've been building
I
a lot of cars.
I see one. I don't know if it's the same
Every now
one.
and then.
Yeah, there's a white one that runs around where I live.
Midsize crossover on the Polestar 3, built on the new SPA 2 all-electric platform, sports dual motors and has an estimated EPA range of up to 300 miles. Should arrive by the second half of 2024. Polestar 4, that one's coming. Porsche Macan, going to be an electric-powered, and its production starts in Leipzig, Germany this fall. Porsche Taycan, the sports car maker's first EV, receives a freshen in the first half of...
And that's been a pretty successful car.
It has. Yeah, it's expensive, too. Ram 1500 Rev. Mars? Familiar with that?
No, sir. I mean, I've heard the name,
REV.
but I haven't seen anything about it.
Begin selling electric version of the 1500 pickup truck in 2024. Ram ProMaster, large van, getting an electric variant this year. Rivian R1S, R1T.
I saw a Rivian leaving when I left last Saturday from here, going up 59. First time I've seen one in the wild.
Pretty
The
good
truck.
one. Yeah.
It was a dark green one. It was
Different-
actually not
different,
a bad look.
yeah.
Yeah, a little odd looking, but
How
pretty
about
cool.
the Rolls-Royce Spectre? Remember the
Sphincter?
Oh, yeah.
not the Sphincter, the Spectre. I'm thinking of James Bond.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I am too. Yeah.
Tesla Cybertruck, that's due out next year.
Yeah, I'm holding my breath for that one.
And the
Yeah,
Tesla Model 3, complete redo on that one. It's going to be a big seller. Tesla Roadster, Musk's latest estimate is for 2024 on that. VinFast VF6 and VF7, they're coming. VinFast and the VF9. Good luck. 84,000 for the VF9. Volkswagen ID Buzz, kind of looking for that. That's the microbus looking thing that's all brand new.
And they'll sell the critters out of that.
Oh, absolutely. Volkswagen ID4, ID7, and Volvo EX30, China-made compact crossover, arrives the first half of next year. And then finally, the Volvo EX90, 7-seat large premium crossover.
So why does Volvo do Polestar, which is kind of like a stripper name, and the Volvo, and they're both doing EVs when they're kind of competing with each other?
Well, Polestar used to be the performance arm of Volvo.
Right?
I don't have an answer for that, but I'm sure that there's more than one answer.
Shared parts.
Now,
Yeah.
Shared parts,
Well,
maybe, but
yeah. all I can think of is there are, well, Chevrolet, Buick, Pontiac, Oldsmobile. Didn't they all compete against each other?
Sure.
Really?
Yeah.
So,
With a little bit different offering.
and I would imagine that the Volvo name takes with it probably an older group of folks than the Polestar.
Right.
And they're probably trying to
A little bit
capitalize.
different styling, a little bit different.
Yeah, that'd be my guess.
But one of the things that we ran into when we started looking into this, like all these vehicles are coming out, 50 are coming out in the next 2 years, basically. But the problems with them that nobody addresses, we got to have them. They're green. They got to be good. But, they don't talk about the problem with the fires.
Or where you're going to charge them.
Or the charging.
Or what are you going to do to dispose of the car after it's been totaled in a collision and the truly environmental mess that car can be?
Well, particularly whenever you look at the insurance companies now because of the liability, if that battery housing has a crack in it, they're going to total the whole car.
Yep.
They don't care how
They've already said that.
Yeah. So now you're going to take what could be perfectly good batteries out of this housing, and you got to dispose of them some way. There's somebody will come up with some sort of recycle, but are you going to want to put recycled batteries in your car?
Well, and George says there's legislation looking at charging a recycling fee on EV battery changeout, which makes sense. You got to remember you got to pay a tire disposal fee, $3 in the state of Texas when you change a
sometimes
tire.
that's waived, and that's just so minuscule compared to what the price is.
Well, okay, so here's one for you. My buddy that I work with has a Tesla Model 3 and had a flat on it. Ran over something. $900 for one tire.
Well, that's the other thing. Remember, we've learned that they've got to have special tires
That's
for
right.
an EV because
they're so
they're
heavy.
heavier that nobody talks about. Got different. Some of them have got to have special tow rigs.
Well, now
You
the
can't
state
just
of
call a
Texas
wrecker.
is going to charge an extra $200 for registration because they're not getting that money
On fuel.
On the fuel.
Yeah. All right. Well, we could go on and on without this, and we shall at a later time. But Conrad has This Week in Auto History.
He does.
And I think I missed you last week in auto history, and I'm
that's
sorry
okay.
about that.
This week in auto history, the Duryea brothers tested their first car in 1893, making what historians consider to be the first time a U.S.-built gas-powered vehicle was operated in this country. In 1926, Henry Ford announced, and this is why Ford and the UAW were such good buddies, Henry Ford announced an 8-hour 5-day work week for 40-hour work week. This decision was made by one of the most prominent figures in the automotive industry and far-reaching implications not only for Ford, but for other labor practices worldwide. And with that, now they're wanting a 32-hour work week. And Ford probably will give in to them. Who knows? In 1948, Honda Motor Company was incorporated. In 1957, did you know that Vespa, the motor scooters, they built a car called the Vespa 400. It got in 1957.
I like
got
it.
48 miles to a gallon. The French scooter company introduced the Vespa 400 in Monaco in 1957. The company execs created so much fanfare at the launch, it had invited 3 racing celebrities to a press event to drive it around the Monaco Grand Prix course. The unpopularity of the vehicle wrote its own demise because it was a 2-stroke. So you had to mix gasoline and oil to get it to run, which in today's world won't work.
Yeah. It needs a wing
It needs a wing.
and a scoop.
The big wing on the back to help you push it. In 1963, the first ads ran for the Chevrolet Chevelle.
All right.
Officially introduced by Bunky Knudsen at a press conference, the Chevelle was the only all-new U.S. car in the 1964 model year. And some people say, well, what about the 64.5 Mustang? Well, it was a 64.5, almost a 65 Mustang. Ford marketed and VINed the first Mustangs as all 1965s. The Chevelle, which is Hebrew for "My God is a vow," or a bold and beautiful, filled the gap between the smaller Chevy 2 and Chevrolet full-size vehicles. And Chevelle was an icon in Chevrolet probably all the way into the upper 80s. that they were building Chevelles. So, in the first year, they sold 338,000 units of the Chevelle. And next, if you click one, that is the first ad that the came out for the Chevelle. In 1969, this week, the Dodge Challenger hit the market as a 1970 model year. It was a direct response to competition from the other automakers in what's called the pony car market, Ford, Mustang, Chevrolet, Camaro. The Challenger was built on the Mopar E-body platform. Plymouth already had the Barracuda. Dodge didn't have one, so they built the Challenger, which is a slightly longer wheelbase, but basically the same platform. That's This Week in Auto History.
All right. Thank you, sir. And one quick note here in the headlines. The 3-week-old UAW strike against the Detroit 3 so far has not significantly dented the automaker's U.S. inventory levels, though General Motors dealerships are the most at risk of running low, according to a new analysis. This from Automotive News. Cox Automotive said Thursday that Chevy and Cadillac have the lowest inventory levels among the domestic brands at 57 and 46 days, respectively, and some of the brand's most profitable nameplates are in tighter supply than that, according to Cox's auto inventory data. Stellantis, by contrast, has the most inventory among the Detroit 3, Cox said, meaning it could be better positioned to withstand prolonged production stoppages. Strike began September 15th, with just 2 weeks left in the third quarter. UAW's decision to target specific vehicle segments rather than launch a strike at every Detroit 3 assembly plant has had a relatively muted impact to date, according to analysts. Time now for a quick break. We'll be right back. You're on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Stay with us.
The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupi Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Lupi Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupi Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com.
Rogers Dab Chevrolet and GM Performance is proud to be a part of America's largest block party. It's the 27th annual Cruising the Coast, October 1st through the 8th. Great antique, classic, hot rod, and dragsters all along a 30-mile stretch of beach. Bay St. Louis, Biloxi, Gulfport, Ocean Springs, Pascagoula, and more. Rogers Dab Chevrolet and GM Performance will be on site October 5th through the 8th at the Mississippi Gulf Coast Coliseum, manning the Chevrolet trailer displays. Come see us for additional information at cruisingthecoast.com. Biggest race in the country. Also, Rogers Dab Chevrolet GM Performance is proud to be a part of the 10th annual Lone Star 600 at Devil's Bowl Speedway in Mesquite. October 6th and 7th, $25,000 to win. Any car can race and is locked into the race. 300 laps both nights, 7 o'clock start times. Racers from all around the U.S. and beyond. Additional information at LoneStar600.com. Rogers Dab Chevrolet and GM Performance.
That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.